Hey everybody, how's it going? This is another Deathwing Tactics video, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the Interrogator, Chaplain, and Terminator armor. He is the last HQ option you have in a Deathwing army. Now he is a secondary HQ, just like the Librarian. The reason I say that is because you must take Belial. You have to take Belial in order to field Deathwing as an army. So any other HQ is purely secondary, not really necessary. Now, in Terminator armor, the Interrogator Chaplain costs as much as the Librarian. And this is important because since they're both secondary, even though I feel the Interrogator Chaplain is a better secondary HQ option than a Librarian, given the current state of the Librarian, I went over that in the Librarian video, being up to the same point cost, you can build an item list around one, and if you don't like it, you can experiment with the other without changing anything really. The only thing you might change is the composition of a Deathwing squad or two, depending on what you were doing with the Librarian, and now you're trying to interrogate Chaplain. Let's say maybe you had a no squad dedicated to assaulting really. Maybe you now want to change it up a bit. That way, you can assault well with the Interrogator Chaplain or something like that. But as far as their entry goes, their point cost is the same. Now, the stat line is different. The Interrogator Chaplain has the same exact stat line as Belial. And the reason I keep saying Interrogator Chaplain is because that's the only entry for Chaplains in the Dark Angels Codex that can take Terminator armor. There is this basic Chaplain entry, but it cannot take Terminator armor. So you must take the Interrogator Chaplain. Now, as far as tactics go, there's nothing really specific that I have to say about it. Basic Chaplain tactics apply here. He has the same rules as Chaplains, so the basic tactics apply. I will say you should have it going in one of two directions. Either you're gonna have the Chaplain there, kind of as an accessory to the squad, meaning yeah, he can probably hurt something here and there, but it's more so to make the squad better due to his rule. Or you can do it where the entire squad with the Chaplain is effective against fighting, meaning you can either go after monstrous creatures and vehicles a lot, or you can have them go after basic infantry and heavy infantry. And that difference really only depends on the squad he's attached to. Do you want more Thunderhammers or less, pretty much. So pretty much it's the idea of Thunderhammers or Power Fists versus Lightning Claws and Power Sword for this sergeant. The wound allocation tactic also applies here. Having the same exact stat line as Belial means he has more wounds than the Librarian, so he can take a wound, and if he fails to save it, he'll still have 2 left. Now he has a great war gear setup for his point costs. That being, he's got a 4+ invulnerability save and a power weapon, just like any Chaplain has, and he's in Terminator armor. Now, the Interrogator Chaplain is a bit pricey, so he's not the best points-wise in terms of a Chaplain entries go for what he has, but it's still a nice thing that he has. He has a better invulnerability save than Belial, unless Belial takes the Storm Shield. So you can put a wound on the Chaplain, and if it's an armor save, chances are he'll make it. If you take that plasma wound, instead of banking on a 5+ invuln save, put on the Chaplain. He's got a 4+. He's got a 50-50 chance. Excuse me. Because remember, the name of the game is keeping your Deathwing alive. It's a smaller army, and in smaller armies, each loss is felt more keenly than in larger armies, especially when your squad size is only a maximum of 5. Other than that, one thing you have to keep in mind is, being an aggressive HQ, he's got to get to the front and get to the fight pretty quickly. So either you're going to defrag him and his squad in, excuse me, or you're going to make use of a transport. And the only transport in the Codex that can transport the Interrogator Chaplain and a attached squad would be the Land Raider Crusader. So you have to keep that in mind. If you're going to go mechanized with that, you're going to want the Crusader. So keep that in the back of your head when you're making your army list to determine what other weapons you're going to complement that with. Or you can deep strike him and his squad in. If you wish. Other than that, the only warrior option he has when in Terminator armor is a combi weapon to replace his Stormbolter, just like the Librarian. Now, I don't really recommend it for the Librarian because he does have that Hellfire power you can use. But with the Interrogator Chaplain, I would recommend a combi weapon if you have the extra points to spare, meaning you pretty much built your list with the squads and stuff you want to take, and you see, hey, I got some points left over. I would recommend putting a combi weapon on the Interrogator Chaplain, and I personally recommend Plasma. I love Plasma, combi Plasma on Terminators, I do. Now, Melta, though, is still nice, and when you keep in mind the fact that Deathwing doesn't really have a whole lot of Melta, it barely has Melta in the army, or the potential to take Melta in the army. Barely. So the combi Melta could be nice, but I prefer combi Plasma for two reasons. A, 24-inch range or double tapping at 12. Very nice. And B, you're in Terminator armor, so if you get hot, no big deal. It's got a nice strength, very low AP. You're pretty much going to cut through infantry, and Terminator armor is going to be force or lesser save. So that is very nice. And it can deal with light vehicles at the same time, and double tapping into a vehicle, chances are you might hurt it, as opposed to just a single shot. However, that single shot of Melta, when it is in that Melta range of 6, will be able to just pretty much decimate a vehicle. So in the end, I do recommend combi Plasma on the Interrogator Chaplain, mostly because what he shoots into, he's probably going to be assaulting in that turn. I don't recommend the combi Flamer only because it's not really that point effective, in my opinion. But anyway, other than that, the tactics for Interrogator Chaplain remain the same as basic Chaplain tactics. He's just in Terminator armor helping out a Terminator squad. So that's pretty much it. He's good in close combat, and that's where he really excels. So you want to get him there in a timely fashion without overextending him or anything like that. And that's that for HQs for Deathwing. I'm gonna do another Deathwing tactics video in the future. Gonna keep this kind of going. I don't know what's gonna be next, but when I figure that out, I'll be doing that video. So until next time, hopefully this is helping people out, and take it easy.